This just proves everything we are witnessing about this Toronto Raptors team is 100% real, as there were some question marks about how this team would fit together on the offensive end, because not many people question the talent that was on this squad. You have Scottie Barnes, you have RJ Barrett, you have Brandon Ingram, three guys that can really put the ball in the hole, be extremely talented offensive players, but people were wondering how this would actually fit for this Raptors team. And while definitely, especially with Jakob dealing with some injuries right now or at the start of the season, the Raptors got some losses. The defense looks horrific. It has looked horrific for years when Jakob not on this team. It's why I've gone on tirades about just Bobby Webster, about the front office finally getting this team some center depth. We still don't have it, and when Jakob injured, the defense is just a complete dumpster fire. So I'm standing on that, still something that needs to get fixed. But when the Raptors have their full contingent, when Jakob back in the lineup, the real question mark is really, how was the offense going to work this season with these three guys? Yes, they're all talented, but is there enough ball to go around for all these guys to execute, to be efficient? And with the Raptors' hot start, because even when we were losing those games, the offense looked phenomenal to start off this season. I mean, if we take a look at the numbers, the Toronto Raptors had the 9th best offensive rating in the entire NBA. So what was going on? And a lot of people were saying, hey, the Toronto Raptors, they just got off to a really fluky start. We're not going to see Brandon Ingram, who's not known as a three-point shooter, RJ Barrett, Scottie Barnes, these guys be as efficient and just really as hot as they've been to start off this season. That's not going to be something that's sustainable. And once the Raptors aren't knocking down shots at that elite rate, they're going to come back down to earth. They're going to start losing games. Well, tonight, they just proved that theory wrong. Because, firstly, Scottie Barnes, RJ Barrett, they have put in a ton of work improving their three-point shooting, improving their efficiency, and playing within the system. So I think that's something that, again, you're not going to have, Scottie Barnes shooting over 40, close to 50% from the free throw line the entire season, but you are going to get a Scottie that's improved on the three-point end. But this Raptors team was orchestrated, was constructed. It's everything Darko Rajaković has been talking about, is to be effective on the defensive end. They need to be able to win games on the defensive end. And against the Atlanta Hawks tonight, they were able to grit it out. The Raptors came out and only shot 31% from behind the three-point line. But you know what? Their defense kept the Atlanta Hawks shooting just 34% from the field and only 23% from the three-point line. And that was mainly because of not just the Atlanta Hawks missing shots, but the Raptors forcing them into difficult shots, difficult decisions, and also forced them into 19 turnovers. And this is what we've seen from the Raptors team over the course of this season. They were playing a little bit over-aggressive, but Darko Rajaković has made some great adjustments to his defensive schemes in not playing 2-2 in their face, in their, in their way and stuff. And the Raptors defense has been able to hold it down, and they played with that grit, they played with that fire, and they were able to get it done because, their top guys out there in this one didn't really have that crazy of a game. Scottie Barnes in this game shot 31% from the three-point line from the field and 0% from the three-point line. Went 0 of 2 from behind the arc. So, that's not anything remarkable there. Our Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, they weren't knocking out their shots at the craziest of rates. They still got very, very good looks, but they weren't doing anything that's out of the realm of ordinary. Honestly, below what you'd expect from even a reasonable game for this Toronto Raptors squad. But they just absolutely dogged it out there on the defensive end. They got production all around the roster. I mean, everyone in the starting lineup ended up having, double-digit points. You had Gradey off the bench, double-digit points. You had 7 guys in double digits out there in this game. And, CMB doing everything to fill up the box score in other areas. And Jamal Shed, even though he had 0 points in this game, my bias Shed head status, part of the fan club, I still thought he had an impact on winning. Everyone just dogged this game out, and even though, the Hawks did have the momentum, they did have, the lead for a large stretch of this game, when it mattered most, the Raptors kept it close the entire way, and when it mattered most, you're going to look at the box score, and if you didn't watch this game, I know it's a Friday night and stuff, but you might see Scottie Barnes 14-10, but 31% shooting, not a great Scottie game, Scottie Barnes was the reason this offense was flowing down the stretch of this one. He was getting paint touches, he was making beautiful kickouts, and he was just really creating everything that was needed. And he played with this level of assertiveness that he was, I am that number one guy. I am the best player on this basketball court, and I am going to make sure this Raptors team wins. And, of course, Kawhi Leonard did that. That's a superstar level player, but I'm not saying Scottie Barnes is that level, close to that yet. But this is something Kyle Lowry used to do. And yes, Kyle Lowry's not the talent, whatever. He had to dog his way through this. But Kyle Lowry carried himself. He carried this team. Like, the Raptors should always win. And Kyle Lowry's the best player on this court. He's going to create something for someone. That's how he played basketball. He had that confidence. He had that drive. He had that poise. And Scottie Barnes, at times over the course of his Raptors career, could look passive, especially in games where the shot isn't going down. We know when Scottie Barnes is rolling, he is ready to hoist up whatever shot that's out there. But in a game where, again, he's shooting 31% from the field, 5 of 16 from the field, a lot of these games he'd start to become passive and almost play like a Draymond Green role. That's why everyone made those comparisons. But tonight, even though the shot wasn't falling, he played with a level of assertiveness that frankly changed the momentum in the second half for this team. So that was something that was great to see for this squad. And then you had RJ Barrett, you had Brandon Ingram. Not the most efficient nights, but really just steadily getting the Raptors buckets when needed in different areas. So that was a huge positive, and I want to give an insane amount of credit to him because I refrained from talking for a little bit because I want to give him full praise. Immanuel Quickley, a guy that is out there in the Ja Morant trade rumors here right now, a guy that has been bagged on by this team because of his cold start to the season. But the reason this game didn't get blown open, especially in the first half, because Immanuel Quickley hit some very, very timely threes, over the course of this one. I mean, we take a look at the box score in this. Immanuel Quickley had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, and shot 3 of 7 from the three-point line. But those 3 three-point shots, they were real momentum killers for the Atlanta Hawks. Those are like those poison pill shots that the Hawks are going wrong. It looks like they're about to burst this lead wide open, and then IQ hit some very, very timely shots, especially in the first half. That really helped this Toronto Raptors team. And of course, I'm not a big fan of Immanuel Quickley taking the most shots down the stretch, being the alpha dog out there when you have the nuclear weapons we have on the wings in Scottie Barnes, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, and all these types of dudes out there for this team. But I do like Immanuel Quickley when the offense isn't really rolling, when things are him being a threat, him being an option, him being a guy that can space the floor, knock down shots, create those floaters, and be an impact guy. He still took some weird shots down at the end where the ball ended up getting taken out of Scottie Barnes' heads, who again was rolling out there in the second half, not necessarily scoring the basketball, but creating and playing the right way. But IQ is steadily getting more and more comfortable, steadily getting more and more better. Defensively is looking like less of a pylon. All positive developments out there for Immanuel Quickley for this team. So good news out there on that front. But we do have some other interesting developments regarding this game, as this was a play-in. So the Raptors right now on a 4-game win streak, where I'll play the animation once again. People love the pizza parties. We're getting that stuff rocking. But the Raptors are a 4-game win streak. They play the Philadelphia 76ers tonight. We will be live for that game. But on top of this was an NBA Cup game. So not only is this a win streak, we're on a little win streak out there in the NBA Cup. And the Raptors right now are leading their division out there in the NBA Cup. They have a really, really solid point differential. And if they can beat their next NBA Cup games are against the Washington Wizards and the Indiana Pacers, who are two teams that are struggling right now. The Wizards are 1-8 and the Pacers are 1-7. So if the Raptors can get wins against these bottom feeders out there in the Eastern Conference, there's a shot we will win this or get to the finals of this NBA Cup, which is fairly cool to see out there, considering the Raptors haven't really had a shot in this tournament for many seasons in the past. So the Raptors get some developments there, and on top of it, right now, we do have, so this has been a positive game. People are feeling good. But one interesting development is happening with the rotation right now because Jakob in the lineup, CMB has moved to the bench and stuff, and there's been some interesting sort of changes to what the Raptors are doing out there with their lineup. So Sandro Mamukelashvili has proven himself to be that real 6-man at the big man spot, and it makes sense. He's that floor spacing type of dude out there for this team, and he was awesome tonight. 12 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. Is looking more comfortable in the Raptors system. Didn't even shoot that great from the 3-point line, but still was able to have an impact. And Gradey Dick only is playing 13 minutes per game in this one. He is not getting a ton of opportunities. He is not getting a ton of runs, but the thing that Gradey Dick is showing right now is he's earning those minutes. Even in limited opportunities, Gradey Dick has been effective in those minutes, which is going to only earn him more and more minutes as the Raptors continue to try to be competitive. But what this has led to is some interesting developments in terms of the minutes for this Raptors team, as it looked like Jakob Walter and Jamison Battle. Both Jamison Battle played in the second half, crunch time, and was a plus 11 in that. So, his floor spacing was felt out there on the court, even though he didn't score. And Jakob Poeltl earlier on in the game, they both got 6 minutes. So those were the two guys, beyond Jamal Shed and CMB, that got some extra run. But Ochai Agbaji is currently out of the Toronto Raptors rotation, which is very, very interesting because, again, he was a guy that was really good for the Toronto Raptors last season, is a two-way player, and it's an interesting development right now. Now, everyone has talked about, or I've yelled to even at the beginning of this video about our need for depth at the center spot. We have a glut out there at the wings, and it sucks to see Ochai Agbaji, being buried out there on the bench. I'm not saying it's the wrong move. In fact, I think Darko Rajaković has been as fruitful with minutes as he possibly can be if we're trying to be competitive. So I think he's managing this tough situation very, very well. But I would not be surprised if moves end up coming because you don't want to, Ochai Agbaji in a contract year, you're getting DNPs after the season he had last year. It's just a tough position to really be in. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Raptors try to make some shakeups, try to make some moves in order to, more balance the roster, especially when injuries end up inevitably happening for whatever team. Hopefully the Raptors don't have any serious ones this season. But let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comment section down below. You guys, the best thing is for subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.